oh my God, revitalized. Like revitalized. And I am so grateful. I'm so happy. I'm gonna take a moment. Like, wow, that it's November 16th, 2017 today. Yesterday was the 15th. And what a day it encapsulated for me of the things that went on and what happened. And I was just gifted with the biggest the biggest revitalization, the biggest renewal, the biggest reminder of who I am and that how amazing I am is specific to me, not specific to the environment, to the other people, to other things that if we're in certain circumstances and we fill ourselves up with certain things that we do or surround ourselves with, and we think we're those things, so that when those things aren't there anymore, or when we outgrow them, or when we leave them, and with confidence and certainty that that's the right thing to leave, but then that space, that valley from the transitions that I talked about, that can feel real confusing. But I was so surprised and amazed. I was so amazed that feeling that I realized, because I don't have any of the usual old things, that I did what I have done before and didn't give myself credit to. That I wasn't accredited that it was me, that I thought it was the other things, that I wasn't as amazing as the environments or the excuses, the reasonings for not being able to feel that we can love ourselves. When you have what you consider to be nothing in comparison to what you're used to, when you've transitioned and you're still in your space, your valley of openness to grow and to reap and to sow, and that faith piece that needs to be there, that when you get God's word, it brings you into focus. It brings clarity. It brings remembering. It puts you back together with just the parts that are going to be useful now moving forward. The new you, the new me. And that's the thing, is that when you ask for change in the physical environment, if you ask for improvements, that in and of itself means, in order to change those things, in order for things to be different, since it's all perception anyways. Whoa, that's like really big. Then that requires a change of mind. That requires a change of mind. In order for you to become new, to get yourself to the level that you want to be, you have to be different. You have to have changed, evolved, become more yourself, realized more of who you are, become better, grow, and change is change. So when you're asking for change, you got to bring change. And that means change of the mind. Like, really. And I have been harping on this to get myself to change my mind, right? And the struggle that I was facing doing so and adjusting, because even when if I ask for a change of environment and I say no to the environments I don't want, then that leaves me with what's left over. Then it has space for the new environments to come in. What's gonna make the difference that it sticks. What's going to make the adaptability happen is me. Like, you can't stay the old self and live in the new life. So it's probably ready as long as you meet it with the mind. Now, how to get the mind there? And this is what I need to talk about, because this is what happened. First of all, I was just so amazed at how blessed I could be in such a situation yesterday that I was feeling. That video yesterday, whoo, like, I mean, sure as hell not entertainment. It was a learning lesson, and like, I'm sure there's times that, when you're in that, you're feeling that way and trying to figure it out. But to be there and to realize the perspective is when you get God's word. Oh, hang on. Like these notifications. When you get God's word, you get perspective. And I was so gifted yesterday with the reminder and feedback to who I am, to who I really am. And I believe it now. I believe that it's me. And I've had layers of it before where I've thought, oh, I realized that, okay, I think realizing the role that we really play and not discrediting ourselves for how amazing we are at the impact and creativity to influence what is developing and what is developing it to our destiny. That passion, that persistence and patience towards deciding where we're going to show up as. So, getting God's word was what happened yesterday and this morning. The gift was yesterday out of what felt like I was like, I don't know where to go right now. I don't know where to go from here. That's where I was at. Really. Then I just noticed how much you can be gifted in those times. I think that's something I really want you to get, whoever you are, is, and I've talked about the problems and the gifts, the simultaneous of that they are all the same thing, and realizing that embracing our story is what lets us embrace our gifts, okay? Embracing what is going on, embracing the perspective, embracing a wide perspective, embracing our truth is what can get us to embrace our gifts. So here's the thing, is that when we embrace perspective, when you go and you get God's word, it helps. This is what helped this morning. So last night I checked in with that. I was like, I need to go get God's word. Like when I finished that video, I was like, there was just no more talking left. It was to get God's word is to get perspective. And I mean like religious perspective in terms of not like a religion. I'm not into, I'm not saying any of that ever. But religious about what religion your you let your mind operate on, right? Like unreligiously, what's your religion of mentality, of mindset, of belief, of character, of stamina, of the relationship, of self-awareness, of the relationship with yourself? What do you employ? What is the like the government of mentality for you? And for me, I know where I get that. And I when I outsource, it's very important where you outsource to get your feedback, to get your guidance, to get your perspective, because that's where you're most, if you pick somewhere that you want to get your source from and that you feel sources you when you need it, it's dangerous because it's so potent if the credibility of that source is uncertified in a way. Like uncertified meaning just certain of where it's coming from. Like, where do you get most of your information and your certainty and your beliefs from? Ask where they're getting it from. Just really do the homework on what you are most open and vulnerable to listening to and reaching, right? Because that's what gives perspective. So when I go to where I go and I listen to TD Jakes at the Potter's House, so that's like what I have found, that I surprised myself. It happened to be, like a religion, because I am so spiritual and so soulful, and I recognize that. So I have found it in that way. For me, that is what works. This man is genius to getting word from God, and it works for me, and it's fabulous. And I see myself in him, and how his mannerisms are, how he, yes, Lord, how he portrays himself. And so it really resonates with me. So that's where I go. So ever you go to find, like, I am a proponent of like getting God's word, of getting the word, what that is for you. And I understand, very sensitive subject, because it can be portrayed so off or inappropriate or wrong for people, and then really shamed to pushed onto. So then it's like anytime it's brought up, I feel for that, because it's hard to just talk obviously about that in a conversation. However, it's my truth. Like, that is for sure where I go. So getting God's word is like, it's what I recommend, and it's what I recommended for myself. It's what I needed. So I went to last night, I was like, I got to go watch service. And I watch his Sunday services on the app, and started that after the gift of that night happened, where I was so profoundly shocked, empowered, surprised, amazed at how that can happen in the times that you think might be the least gifted times. That's everywhere is the birthplace. And that is like when you're in your shit, that's your soil. Like, in order for stuff to grow, it needs that manure, that mixture. That's good soil. Like, is when there's shit in there. So if you feel that it's really shitty, you're gardening right now. Like, I have said this before. So it's gardening. So go get God's word to get your perspective, because it brings clarity and focus and understanding, because then